And also young adults, right? Young adults are experiencing increasing rates of feeling isolated and lonely, and then a corresponding um, sort of flurry of mental health challenges that come along with that. So, if we see the problem being social isolation, division, anxiety, fear, we think we offer one kind of solution, which is connection, collaboration, community, and creativity. And the way that we do that is through a combination of my two favorite things, just by living in that in between space of music and storytelling. So, someone who I admire very much, Jimmy Neal Smith, is the founder of the International Storytelling Center. And he once said, "We are all storytellers. There isn't a stronger connection between people than storytelling." And if you think about it, storytelling exists in all cultures all over the world. It's how we talk about who we have been, it's how we talk about our ancestors, it's how we communicate who we are to other people, and also how we imagine about the future. So we're all storytellers. We are also all musicians, even though not everyone would say that. And my friend Khalid Taylor, who's also a colleague, said music heals, helps, and connects us. And if you look at neuroscience, right, what music does in the brain is incredible. It has a superpower. So music not only increases empathy when we listen to music where we tap into the experience of others, it also increases oxytocin. We're happier when we listen to music and when we make music with other people. And it decreases cortisol levels, right? This has all been done in studies. It decreases cortisol levels. So we become less anxious, less fearful when we're making or listening to music. So, documentary songwriting takes all these things and we use it to um, to make music with people. So the framework for what we do is offering a unique step-by-step method to co-write music, no matter your musical ability, right? So even if you don't think you have a creative bone in your body, we have a method to unlock creativity and allow people to take a story that's meaningful to them and turn it into a song. Now, that process has two main collaborators. There's the story source, so the person who is sharing their story, and then the teaching artist. And this is someone with some musical background who is able to facilitate and guide the process. So the first step is the story source shares a personal story. And so much of music is about love or trucks, right? Or what else do we talk about a lot? Death, heartbreak. But there's so many stories that are meaningful us that don't get songs written about them. Maybe it's something you lost that you loved. Maybe it's when you moved from one city to another. So all our stories just need to have a beginning, middle, and an end, and then some emotional component, something that's meaningful to them. So as the story source tells their story, the teaching artist listens deeply and just gives someone's story the attention that it deserves. The next step is the story source offers the beginning of a melody. And this is often the scariest part for people because people say, "Oh, I'm not a singer, right? I couldn't do anything." But even if you offer a note or you offer the tempo, is this a fast song? Is this a blues song? Is it punk rock? What is the energy behind the story that you're telling? And then the teaching artist guides them through that melodic process. They both collaborate in the writing arranging process. They both work together to take the story, condense it, and then transform it into a song. And then at the end, both the story source and the teaching artist have the responsibility of thinking, does this song convey the real heart of what the story is about? Both in terms of the sort of musical cohesion. Is this a song that people can sing? Do people want to listen to it? But also, does the music of the song convey the emotion of the story? The method has sort of 7 steps to it. We have these 2 collaborators, and they go through 7 steps of a documentary songwriting process. The first one, which we've already talked about, is the story source shares a story. The next piece is you distill that into a free verse poem. So we take that story and turn it into lyrics, because that's really what poems are, is they're lyrics. And a part of that is shaping it into like a refrain or a chorus and verses. So what's the part of the story that you want to repeat? What's the part of the story that feels like the chorus that you might sing over and over and over again? From there, you design the melody collaboratively, you add chords, and then you edit the remaining verses to fit into that melody that you've started to create. And then finally, and this is the piece where we're still growing as an organization, is that you record and produce a high quality song that can be shared. Because I think part of the power of this is that you can create something that is singable, that people can sing over and over to themselves, but they could also share very easily with friends and communities and people beyond your immediate audience. So your story all of a sudden has having an impact way beyond the immediate audience that heard it. This is all pretty hard, I think, to conceptualize unless you can hear it. So I'd like to do next is actually play you one of our songs. So this is a song called What the Eye Can See. And our story source was a gentleman named Stanford Thompson. And Stanford in 2020 went to George Floyd Square in Minneapolis. He felt drawn to go visit the place where George Floyd was murdered. And this is the story about his experience. He told the story to teaching artists Will Foote, Malcolm Brooks, Jody Kirchner, Nora Willauer, and Andre Cardine. And then the version of this song that you're going to hear is told by Susie Assam. So she's the singer. I'm going to get out of full screen mode because it'll be easier just to click over to, give me 1 second. To our YouTube video. All right. So Susie Assam singing Where the Eye Can See.
Last week I was restless. I wanted to visit the square where George Floyd was murdered. Something called in me there. I wanna see what the eye can see. I know I need to make peace. I wanna see what the eye can see. I know I need to make peace with what the eye can see. My father would tell me, for him it was all real life. In Jackson, Mississippi, not in black and white. I wanna see what the eye can see. I know I need to make peace. I wanna see what the eye can see. I know I need to make peace with what the eye can see. Since the start of 2020, hundreds of lives were lost. Hundreds of names were painted up there on that block. George Floyd's name was right there at the top. I broke down when I got there. Like a faucet, I started to cry. I'm a tough guy, kind of. So many, so many, so many lives. I wanna see what the eye can see. I know I need to make peace. I wanna see what the eye can see. I know I need to make peace with what the eye can see.
So I wish I could see you all. I wish I were there with you right now. But that is what the eye can see. Again, Story Source Stanford, written by him and all these teaching artists. Oh, there you go. Oh, great. Hi. It's so good to see you. I was like, I think there's people out there. And then performed by Susie. So we have kind of three branches of what we do. The first step is education. We train people through the documentary songwriting method so that you can learn to do it yourself. You can become a teaching artist that then can go out into the world, collect stories, and help transform them into song. So every summer we offer a training where people can learn the documentary songwriting method. The second piece is connection. We partner with community-based organizations to implement the songwriting method, to build community and cultivate empathy. So people go out, find organizations who would benefit from these sorts of opportunities, and then we make songs with them. And then the last piece, which is our growing edge, I don't know how many people work with nonprofits, but you always have the dream of where you're going, is to create high quality, well-produced songs that we can share. If anyone knows StoryCorps, my dream is to have an archive like StoryCorps where you could go in, you could search keywords and then just find just a plethora of songs that might speak to that experience. So that's sort of where we're going to. But production is where we need to add more dollars to get it done. So those are sort of the three branches of what we do. Right now, we have 37 teaching artists, and they represent 9 different countries. We have folks working all over the world, and they're from a bunch of backgrounds. We have teachers, musicians, music educators, producers, nonprofit staff members, and community organizers, all who use the documentary songwriting method as a tool, right, as a tool of connection. A couple projects that have gone on in the last couple of years. We had one with the Grafton Correctional Institute where in sort of a new genre, some teaching artists created choral works. So actual full choral songs written by men incarcerated in Grafton, Ohio. Renovari Music is a nonprofit based out of Cleveland that uses restorative musical experiences to reach marginalized communities. So they work with women in addiction, folks experiencing homelessness, and write songs with those communities. Nora Willauer, one of our teaching artists, did a Songs of Me Too project where she collected people's stories from the Me Too movement and turned those into songs. And then Songs of Asylum, our teaching artist Will Foote traveled to Belgium for a Red Cross sponsored songwriting workshop with asylum seekers. So those are just some examples of projects that we've done. A lot of work we've done has been in Maine and Cleveland, but as I said, we've sort of done some international projects as well. At the end of the day, we really believe that every life has a story and every story deserves a voice. And the way that we choose to share that is through music, because we really think music has some superpowers that are worth tapping into. And before we wrap up, I would love just to share one more song with you, because I want you to see the range of genre that we work in. This song is called Where the Highway Is, and it was told by Andrea Itkin. And it's a story of when she was much younger and went hitchhiking and did not tell her mother. The teaching artist that worked on it was Malcolm Brooks, and it's performed by Isabel Olsen, Caleb Edwards, and Malcolm. And you'll see it sort of has a very different feel than what the eye can see. So let me play that for you now.
I call my mom, I tell her I'm okay. She thinks I'm in Martha's Vineyard today on the East River Drive. I stick out my thumb, the cop pulls me over, says, Jesus, you're dumb. I know where the highway is, where the highway is. I know where the highway is, where the highway is. My trucker stops, got plans for me. Jump from the cab, and again I'm free. Some Puerto Rican stop, say, oh baby please. But gentlemen, I say I have a disease. I know where the highway is, where the highway is. I know where the highway is, where the highway is. All I need is my thumb, a bag of clothes, the beat of my drum. I see the world, nobody knows, just me alone. A sailor's nice, he's so nice to me. I close my eyes, and he lets me be. I get back to the vineyard and lie to my mom. I tell her everything but where I've gone. I know where the highway is, where the highway is. I know where the highway is, where the highway is. I know where the highway is, where the highway is. I know where the highway.
So as you guys can see, it's a very different energy to that song. And I think one thing that's so magical about the documentary songwriting method is the song about George Floyd Square felt like a song about George Floyd Square. And this song, you can feel the emotion behind the story that was told with the energy of that song. So anyway, documentary songwriting. If you want to know more, you can follow us on social media. Look for Documentary Songwriters. Join us for our summer training program. If anyone out there wants to learn how to do this, we love to expand our network. Or connect with me. I'll have my email at the end of this presentation. I love new opportunities to collaborate. So if you're involved with an organization and you think, how could we work together? Please reach out or just ask me questions. It's so fun to connect. And I just love talking about what we do. If you're interested in teaching artist training, this is our online application. It's also on their website if you want to get involved with that. And then this is my email. So if anyone wants to hear more, feel free to screenshot this if you're on Zoom or take a picture. And really, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. It's so cool to meet other people who value connection and are finding different ways to do it. So it's a privilege to be here. And I don't know if there's time for questions, Jared, but I have time to stick around. So really just thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
First, let's all give a big round of applause on the microphone. So
thank you. I can stop sharing.
okay. I guess. I'll put you on the big screen too. So let me see. How do
I've got Arizona sun blocking me, so trying to. There we go.
Okay. Well, tell you what. If you have time for a quick Q&A, I'm sure we have questions out here. I got one to start with.
Yeah.
I want to start with. I assume that you have a YouTube channel we can all subscribe to.
Yes. Yep. There's a YouTube channel. And right now, as I talked about, a lot of our recordings are just people with their cell phones at home. One thing we're working on is how do we get studio time to be able to produce songs more like the one you just saw, right? Just a more high quality, but you still get a sense for the song. So absolutely check us out on YouTube.
Okay. Well, I'm going to pass the mic. Does anyone here have a question?
My question is, what level of obligation would you have if you wanted to sign up? It looks like there may be session artists that sit and play and don't necessarily guide the musical experience.
Oh, such a great question. What's your name?
My name is Lewis.
Hi, Lewis. Hi. Right now we are limited by where we have teaching artists, right? So if we had teaching artists in your community, and then we could recruit someone in to come in and do some of the actual playing of the songs after the melody and chords have been developed. But I would say we're still growing to that point. So right now, so much of our work is just between teaching artists and story source. And where the highways that you just saw produced was in Maine, where we just have a ton of people who are able to collaborate in that way. But the dream is to be able to pull in people who don't necessarily want to do the whole songwriting process, but have some of that musical skill that could help us with the production piece.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, great question. Thanks for asking.
Anyone else? Ross.
Can you hear me through this? Yeah, probably.
I can, yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know if it's as much of a question, just an observation I really appreciated from what you shared, which was that in inviting someone to share a story, part of what you're trying to do is to pull out what might be the chorus. And like that might be like the biggest takeaway I get here, what I really, really appreciated, because it's like, yeah, what are the recurring themes of what can feel like a disconnected random bumping around in the world to make it into a narrative. And I really appreciate that. I wanted to highlight it again because I thought it was really, really cool. And
yeah, thanks for saying that. I think there's a way in which telling a story, I think, is always healing in a way, to have someone hear your story. But there's a way. I've been a story source a couple of times, and it was a meaning making experience for me. So as I told my story and worked with a teaching artist to pull out what the chorus was, I got new perspective on the story that I told for exactly that reason, because the chorus wasn't always what I thought it was going to be, Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh yeah. But how many people have you worked with as storytellers from that side?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. I couldn't tell you. So many. I just took over as executive director in August, so this is sort of a new, exciting, nerve-wracking role for me. Hundreds. I would say hundreds of people. Not all stories get turned into produced songs. But yes, we've worked with hundreds of story sources.
Well, thank you so much for coming out. This has been a great presentation. We really appreciate you being here.
Oh,
This
thank
is
you
some great
guys.
music.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Okay.